If I was going to buy 100 shares of Nvidia right now, I wouldn't just buy them and let them sit there like most retail investors do. I would buy them and then rent them out on a weekly basis to collect an income. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Yo, what is going on, Premium Chasers? I hope you're having a God blessed day today. Every single person that comments down below is going to get our ARC option strategy playbook. So if you want that full book, drop a comment. I'll personally send it to you. And while you're down there, hit that like button and that subscribe button. But guys, today we're talking about if we're going to go out there right now and buy 100 shares of Nvidia, what should we do? We could see Nvidia has been on an absolute tear recently, right? And a lot of retail investors, aka dumb money, they're calling us, are pouring into this thing and buying, obviously, at all-time highs. Now, there's nothing wrong with buying at all-time highs if you're somebody that's a big believer in the stock. However, most retail investors, dumb money, don't know about the strategies that I'm going to share with you right now, where essentially you can kind of put your shares to work. Most people have no idea this exists, and take me up on that offer. Go ask any of your friends or family if they know what I'm about to show you right now. So let's just assume, we could see Nvidia is trading at its top Bollinger Band. It's not a great setup for cash secured puts at all, but let's say you're really bullish on Nvidia and you're like, I just want to get into this thing, I'm a big believer in Nvidia, so I'm just going to buy 100 shares. So you're going to spend, let's just assume for simple math, you'll see in a second, we're just going to say you bought 100 shares like for $165 each, right? So you spent $16,500 on your shares, right? Fantastic. Now, most retail investors will just let them sit there in their account. They'll check it. It goes up and down. And honestly, I stopped doing that on individual stocks a long time ago after I learned what I'm about to show you. So let's go over to the options section. Bear with me. I know. You hear options. You're like running for the hills. Let me show you. This is a different way of doing it, okay? What we're going to do is click sell a call, okay? We're going to click sell a call. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go out 7 days from right here. Now, basically what I'm saying here is I'm willing to sell my 100 shares of Nvidia that I just bought, right, at $165 for a price that I choose, right, in 7 days. Let me kind of walk you through it. Kind of sounds confusing, but it's really not. Let's say, right, Nvidia hits $170 in 7 days, right? This is the options contract right here. So I'm going to select this, and you could see I would collect $150 of premium right here. Obviously, this is educational only. These premiums are constantly changing. You can see it's constantly changing on your screen right here. But this is given to me from an options buyer. Okay, so I always like to put everything in my covered call calculator. All my calculators and stuff are free in our Facebook group. Just join us. The link will be in the description. Okay, so what I'm saying here is, okay, in 7 days, July 18th, if Nvidia is trading at $170, I'm cool letting go of my shares that I just bought at $165. Plus, I'm walking away with some nice premium. Okay, so our strike of the option is 170. That's what we're willing to sell our 100 shares for, right? Our cost basis is for our 100 shares is $165. And we can see our premium return here is just about 1% in a 7-day period. Our profit on our shares, if Nvidia hits, right, $170 in a week, is going to be $500 if we end up selling them for a total profit of $650, right? That's the profit on the shares plus the premium for a total return about 4%. Now, full disclosure, right? There's a few things that can happen here, okay? So let's kind of dive in so you understand all the risks of this strategy. So first and foremost, right? Nvidia, let's say you open up your phone. Let's say you did this trade and you close your phone, right? You close your phone and you show up in 7 days, open your phone. Few things can happen. First and foremost, let's say Nvidia is just trading sideways around 165, 166. Well, your contract would expire worthless, meaning your shares would not be sold and you would just run the play for the following week or move on to a different opportunity to collect some more premium. Right? Your brokerage will lock up those 100 shares, right? Because you're saying essentially that I'm willing to sell them for $170, right? So we'll lock those up for the week. But this premium is given to you from the options buyer up front, okay? So make sure you understand that. The second thing that can happen, and this is the biggest risk of it, right, is let's say you open your phone in 7 days and Nvidia is trading at $175, $200, right? You're on the hook to sell your shares at $170. Okay, now that's the biggest risk. You miss out on all potential upside. With this strategy, essentially, I'm capping my upside on this trade at $500, right? Because I bought my 100 shares at 165, and if I sell my 100 shares at 170, I'm kind of capping my upside at my profit of $500 on those shares. So you have to be comfortable selling them. For me, I am not a buy and holder of individual stocks. I'm a buy and holder of like Vanguard stuff, but with my selling options, I treat this like a business. Some of you get really beat up and lose sleep at night that, hey, your shares may get sold and you missed out on potential upside. The best thing about this, guys, is this is the stock market. And in my opinion, there's always opportunities to get into something, okay? So with that said, right, there are management things that you can do over a weekly basis, right? Sometimes we can close our position early. That means we give back some of that premium that we had, right? We give a little bit of that back, but, right, we are still able to close our position early and get our 100 shares back, right? Most of the time, I let my covered calls just go to expiration and let them sell, unless there's some crazy moves and I will roll the position. Now, that kind of dives more into management and how to manage your actual positions, okay? So let's now talk about what kind of strike prices are kind of the ones to look at, right? The first and foremost, this is a very personal thing, right? Now, there are opportune times to sell your covered calls, to sell your 100 shares. But with that said, if there's a price that you're like, you know what, I'm willing to sell these shares and get rid of them, that's perfect. I call that the gut indicator, all right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why I love selling options. It's not super complicated, all right? And for me, with a family of 3, family, work, business, all the things that I want to do on a daily basis, I'm not a day trader, right? This takes what? 5 minutes in a week if I was going to do this strategy, like absolutely nothing. Now, I spend a little bit more time with my options selling, but for the average person, there's nothing wrong with just logging in once a week and doing this. Now, with that said, let's go out 30 days. You could pick any expiration date you want. There's no rhyme or reason for you specifically. I mean, there might be a rhythm that you want to do. Maybe you want to do 21 days. Nothing wrong with that. The further you go, though, right, the better your premiums and your strike prices will be, right? So if I go 35 days out, right, and I look at the 170s now, right, previously, well, I only collected $150 in premium. Now I'm collecting $595 for $600 of premium. Right, let's see what that does to our return, right? $600, right? Now, look at that. Our premium return is at 3.64. That's the premium divided by 16,500. That's our premium return. A 3.64% in a month is really good. That's really high, right? So let's bring those expectations back down. There's more risk with this. What's the biggest risk? That you're going to sell your shares at 170, right? It's a way more likely to now happen. So how do we decide? How do we know how likely something is to happen, right? Meaning our shares getting sold. Well, we do this by looking at the Greek, right? So for example, this 170, if I open it up, it's a 0.45. The non-technical definition, dumbed down for people like me, is this is the probability of assignment. So there's a 45% chance that I will sell my shares for 170 on 8/15, okay? There's a 45% chance. Now, if I go up to the 175, saying I'm willing to sell my shares at 175, there's a 34% chance that that Nvidia will be trading at 175. I have to sell it. I'll go up to the 180s, right? There's a 0.25, a 25% chance that Nvidia will be trading at 180 and have to sell. So the higher up you go, right, the lower the delta, but also the lower the premium. So this is kind of a balancing act on your risk tolerance. If you really just want to sell your shares, like I just want to get out and get the maximum premium, you're probably going to be playing around this point, 40, high 30 deltas, right? If you're like, hey, I want a good mixture of assignment and then my contract's just expiring so I can run the play monthly or weekly, then you want to be doing something around that 0.20 to 0.30. That's where I usually like to be. Now, for example, look at the 180s, right? The 180s here, let's just assume, we're comfortable with this. It's a 0.25 delta, so a 25% chance of assignment. We're collecting $256 here from the options buyer, right? So we'll put $256 here. Now our strike of the option is higher, meaning we're now exposed to more upside, right? That's a good thing, right? So we could see, right, our strike now is 180 that we'd be selling them for. This drastically increases our profit on our shares to $1,500 now, and increasing the total return of the trade if we sell them to over 10.5%, right? So not only are we obviously still collecting a nice premium, I look at that as like the rental income, right? But we're locking in a great profit on our shares if we have to sell them, okay? Now, a few things to note, right? The Greeks, any kind of indicators that you look at, Nobody knows, none of this stuff knows what the market is actually gonna do. Okay, nobody knows, but it helps us build a thesis. Now, why I love selling options is it kind of forces me to sell. I know that sounds crazy and very contrarian to what you hear a lot of YouTubers that are just, do buy and hold. I firmly believe most people, 99% of people, or honestly 100% of people, should have a buy and hold portfolio that they don't touch. They don't do sell options, but any kind of like extra money you have, right, putting it to selling options to generate premiums, right, I think is a great thing, and a great skill that I believe everybody should know about this, right? So for this, I don't mind selling my shares. I truly don't, okay? Because again, I'm trying to treat this like a business and locking in those gains. As we've seen in this market, things can go sideways really, really quickly, right? Like for example, right, with Nvidia here over the past few months. Now, obviously, I'm very bullish on Nvidia long term, but you could see, look, when we dropped down to under 100, just in April. Now, obviously, a lot of stocks dropped down that far. I'm sure there was a lot of people wishing they were, maybe sold their shares at 150, a couple months before that. And so this strategy really kind of forces us to really like buy low and then sell high, which is like the hardest thing for retail investors, aka dumb money, they call us, right? We force ourselves to buy at a lower price, and then we kind of force ourselves to sell our shares at a profit. Some of you beat yourselves up that, hey, you know what? Like, let's say we did that 180 and in a month, Nvidia's trading at $200 and you've only locked in $1,500 when you could have locked in like almost $3,000, right? Like, I get that, but still, you locked in a profitable trade, and that is it's not something that you should beat yourself up about. If you want more of a hands-on approach with option selling, and you want to join an incredible community of option sellers talking about this, doing this, sharing ideas day in and day out, plus all the resources you need to do option selling for yourself, guys, click the first link in the description of today's video. You're going to learn more about the ARC option strategy, which details this strategy in way, way, way more depth, because there's a lot more amazing things that go into it, like cash secured puts, cash secured put interest, covered call premiums, dividends, and then of course that appreciation sale. So if you're a non-toxic individual, you're financially stable, click the first link in the description of today's video. And if it sounds good, you'll be able to book a call with me and my team. We always talk to every single person we join because again, we want to keep this a non-toxic and really cool environment of people that mastermind on this stuff day in and day out. So go ahead, click that first link in the description of today's video, guys. Remember, sell options, collect premiums, repeat. I'll see y'all tomorrow.